There comes a point in every single person who buys a product's life who wants to decide whether they want this brand or the other brand. Beyblade is notorious for having said feud. People like to argue over which brand is better. People like to argue and defend said product. Today we're going to be going over an unscripted video I am making about the goods and bads of Hasbro and Takara Tomy, aka the never-ending war between Hasbro and Takara Tomy. For starters, I started Beyblade in around 2018, where my very first Beyblade would be this little guy right here, Victory Valkyriak V2 Boost Variable. They have specific codes that I won't be using, but I know one of them started with D. And that was my first time collecting. But, actually, no, hang on, sorry. It was this weird Ripfire Spryzen set. So, after that it was a Valkyriak, then I went to Tijuana a while later, and I got a Raging Rocktavor. And over the years, ever since 2018, I have started Beyblade. I have started picking up the hobby of Beyblade. I have taken a few breaks, but since I have started the channel, I have gotten good reviews. I've gotten a lot of criticism, valid criticism because of how I do my videos. Valid criticism on my thumbnails. I've been working on them. And in the end, I have started a collection on my wall, and I have started another collection down here. So, the never-ending war. People will always argue that, oh, Hasbro is better because of this. Takara Tomy is better because of this. There are two examples of good things that Hasbro has done. Our most notable one is what's coming out this year, which is Hasbro Beyblade X. Now, when this started coming out, I made a video on it, and it wasn't the best because I couldn't show the photos and I have a crappy editing software. So when the leaks started coming out, people were saying, oh, they're going to be made of plastic, or Hasbro's actually going to cook with this, Hasbro's going to do this, Hasbro's going to do that. When it came out, people started comparing everything, from molds to weight to hell, even in fact, like the manufacturing. It was also revealed that Keel Shark 360 Low Flat is one of the fewest expensive Beyblade X bays. Going for the random booster itself on Amazon, going around for $60, not on Amazon, for like $60 on Bays and Bricks. On Amazon, it's around $19 to $20. And on Zen Market, I haven't really looked for Shark Edge on Zen Market. This is around $7, $8. And this was a good thing that Hasbro has done, because they are releasing random booster prizes as, for cheap. This is the first one, random booster number 1, Shark Edge. Our second random booster, if I remember correctly, is Wyvern Gale 580 Gear Ball, and a $15 dual pack with a Viper 380 High Needle. Then our second or third one was Viper Tail 580 Orb, which came out in a dual pack with a stadium set Beyblade known as Grand Sword 360 Flat. Now, the naming is entirely different on the Hasbro and the Takara Tomy boxes. I will get two. I will be getting both of these. We have the Hasbro and Beyblade and Takara Tomy boxes. So on the Takara Tomy box, it says BX01 Grand Sword 360 F Extreme Gear Sports. And on the back, it shows you how the rail works, shows you the character who owns it, shows you the bay itself spinning, and it shows you the blade, the ratchet, the bit, and shows you the launcher that it comes with due to it being a starter. Now, Hasbro has a weird thing of naming. They do a lot of interesting censorships. This is Sword Dran 360 Flat. It comes with everything except for the character, shows you how the rail works, with Dran Dagger, actually. You can see there, it is Dran Dagger. It has Sword of Dran 360 flat. And it doesn't show you, but it does come with the launcher, which is up right here, but not on the back. Comparing them side to side, one of them looks better than the other, but then on the front, it's interesting because they both show you the bay, they show you the launcher, they show you what parts it comes with, and that's it. So because of this, people have said that Hasbro has taken a massive W, and I would agree. Because all of these Beyblades are cheap, and some of them are random booster prizes, some of them are from stadium sets, and some of them are just cheap, are just extremely expensive. A very sought out one is the stadium set with Tusk Mammoth and Dran Dagger. Dran Dagger is so far exclusively locked to the stadium set for Hasbro. But if you want, there is Zen Market, I think there should be Amazon, Surguya, and other Japan shipping services in order to get the bay you need. Dran Dagger and Takara Tomy, it comes in a 3-on-3 deck set, which is common here and there, because a Beyblade I really enjoy, where is it? Where's the box? Right here. As Hasbro calls it, Chain Incendio, it comes with a green wizard arrow. Chain Incendio came in a Hasbro 3-on-3 set, a Hasbro Takara Tomy 3-on-3 set, and you would get 2 other bays with it. That would create your deck as you know, Takara Tomy and Hasbro would want you to create one. But that's enough about X. We're gonna get into the criticisms later. Right now, we're going to move on into the most dangerous part of Beyblade so far. The competitiveness of Takara Tomy and Hasbro Burst. Now, when Burst started coming out in 2015, that was when the single layer started coming out. It was hard to get the colors wrong, it was hard to get the parts wrong. So they would have different sorts of colors known as recolors, which some of them are recolors here, some of them aren't. Some of them are remolds, some of them aren't. And I actually have a lot of Takara Tomy. I have been collecting a lot of Takara Tomy recently. And it's a good thing because I can do somewhat reviews on them, as I have a Dynamite Belial with an S gear. Now, I have a lot of things in here. So much, in fact, that my collection has grown too much. But it's the thing about Hasbro and how they made their bays, basically. So allow me to get the Hasbro version of Dynamite Belial, known as Destruction Bellfire. That is a mouthful of a name, honestly. But that's a thing people have had a complaint about during Burst, mainly me, is why Hasbro would censor out what I would assume seemingly harmless names that meant absolutely nothing, while not knowing that some of them were about religious beliefs. Excuse me for the delay, I just found it. Now, if we put this Beyblade together, this is Dynamite Bellfire Nexus Yielding Q Venture 2. Now, as you noticed, mine has some white on it, and that is because I tried to paint it as best as I could to the Takara Tomy version. Now, comparing them side by side, it's not the best example. Let me take off the S gear. Hasbro and Takara Tomy have had their long feuds here and there. Here we go. Now we can compare them. One looks extremely detailed while the other one is not as detailed. Because of how Hasbro works their dynamite bays, there are slopes instead of just popping them off. As you can see, one is more detailed and one is actually a little bit more taller than the other, while one of them lacks pure design. And because of this, Hasbro was seen as extremely lazy since the GT era. And because of that, that put a bad name on Hasbro's mouth. And a little known fact about the Bellfires for Hasbro is that if you get the right gears, they fit on the bay. Now, I just noticed that Nexus Hasbro is the same size as the regular Nexus, but it's hollowed out. Hasbro purposefully does these things in order for money. The Beyblades have gone from $20 to $10 over the years. And was that ever a good change? It was for a little while until it was just too cheap. Ever since the burst era, I'm stumbling over words. Like I said, this video is unscripted, and I'm trying my best to be serious. So right now, I'm going to show you one of the worst things to happen to a Beyblade. And the first thing is a horrible paint job. This is Royal Genesis. And it's not called Regalia Genesis. It is called Royal Genesis with a horrible paint job by myself. Now, does this look anything? Do you see the two holes there? Hasbro decided to cheap out. Specifically ever since GT. But they also ended up cheaping out during one of the fans' favorites, and I mean favorite, eras of Beyblade. And that is just simply known as Beyblade Burst Turbo. A lot of people have mixed feelings about Beyblade Burst Turbo, or as some people still call it, Super Z Chozetsu, and I think there was one more, and Chozi. Now, this is a Hasbro Achilles, Turbo Achilles, A4. It has a QR code and is solid throughout, and the locks can come out if you launch it hard enough. And by hard enough, you can get one of your crappy Hasbro launchers and they'll still come out. This is not a Takara Tomy Beyblade, but it can be considered one. It is Turbo Achilles, and this is a Pro Series Achilles, which is supposed to be a 1-to-1 accurate version of the Takara Tomy one with stickers and everything. Compare them side by side. I will be using this as a Takara Tomy example. Comparing them side by side, you can see that the Takara Tomy one has a lot more emotion and feeling to it, and actual metal, which was the gimmick produced during the Super Z era. And because of that, fans complained. Fans of Beyblade are known to complain about everything. Like Beyblade related. They're known to complain about drivers, about discs, about layers, about cores, about chips, about everything related to Beyblade. And because of that, that is how arguments start between the two. Now, the arguments that happen between the two, I made a video around a year ago, about 2 years ago, I think. It was called Which One is Better, Takara Tomy or Hasbro? The Bay analysis. I forgot how to spell analysis. And I argued, if I remember correctly, that if you're complaining about Hasbro, then just don't get it. Now, a lot of things have been said, and I have asked a few friends to give me their voice on what they think about Hasbro and Takara Tomy. So give me some time to find it. What? I have to... Oh, right. Give me some time to find it. Alright. I have opinions. I have asked these around a few months ago to a video I would be making. So I asked 3 of my friends, Bell Shoot X, Counters Customs, and Rugen Savior _X, I think. And I asked him to give me his opinions over Beyblade X. And I said we were doing Burst. But overall, how about we get to these opinions first? He states, my opinion on Takara Tomy. While they definitely cooked what the concept was for Beyblade X, the execution of how the concepts came out were not so great. Thankfully, I myself had not experienced any of the major breakages that a lot of people have been dealt with. Tabs breaking, metals breaking, bits breaking, ratchets, etc., etc. I did have my bays nearly come to the point where they did almost reach that point. Using a string launcher, the chances of my bays are decreased due to the power being much less. However, they advocate a lot for using the ripcord launchers aside the string launchers, which is worrisome. It's good to have more power. But how much power at the cost of your bay breaking tragically? It's concerning to see how beat up these bays can get within such a short amount of time, only for them to eventually break on you. X has had the most breakages in a short amount of time compared to the other gens due to the high-speed gimmick. One thing that really pisses me off is distribution. Now, compared to the burst generation, I'm able to get more TT bays and half of what that is thanks to Hasbro stepping up their game, whereas back in it was a different story, especially with the market of fakes being more prominent and recognized back then. But now we're all getting these bays for great cheap at our local store. We can't say the same for every bay, that being the rare bay get Cobalt Drake. According to inside information, apparently if Takara Tomy lets Hasbro release Cobalt Drake, it will decrease the sales of the accessory like the bay passes and the usage of the app if you don't want to gamble your codes away, and can easily buy a Drake from Hasbro in the form of standard release of any kind. Takara Tomy will not like that. They know their customers in their home market will do anything to snag that Drake, even if it means ditching the app provided for them to win it. And this is why some people, even if they can afford Takara Tomy easily, buy fakes. Because risk or not, Cobalt Drake is an expensive ass bay, and to be honest, it's really not that special. You're at most paying $100 for a top that's the same quality as another $10, and there's another top for $10, but just for a different design. Big deal. It's not like it's made of diamonds or pure gold or something. Generally, it's unique bay that has to be obtained through the hard work of collecting QR codes and scanning them to see if you win in the gambling sort of the app. But to be honest, it's really not that fun. Sure, it's interesting to see what you get, but most of the times you'll walk away empty-handed. You won't always end up with a release of any kind, albeit recolor, special bay like Aero Pegasus and Cobalt Drake. Just disappointing. In Asia, like Singapore or even the Philippines, I heard you can win Drake through tournaments instead of the app. And the US is starting to get that sort of stuff, but the prizes would be just standard Hasbro releases rather than special recolored or unique bays like the Gold Knight Shield or Cobalt Drake. It's a bummer. Cobalt Drake would be wanted by so many kids out there, and despite not appearing as much as it should in the beginning and the middle of the anime, it's still a highly wanted and nice bay. This bay is also a good callback to Dragoon from Bakuten Shu, who wouldn't want a callback to a bay like that. Same with Aero Pegasus and its inspiration from Metal Fights Pegasus. Takara is just that scummy. They make tons of money within Asia, mostly in their home country. They've expanded to various regions. Calling them a small struggling company is a huge understatement. Can't forget how Takara Tomy is a company that sells other toys that also makes them a giant toy industry as well. Not releasing a CD at all for NA is pure greed and scumbaggery. If Takara Tomy manages to lose sales from Japan customers because they bought a knockoff, that's on them. They can easily re-release it like they released some burst bays like Perseus and Solomon and even Amateurs at some point, but they choose not to. I will give my thoughts on Hasbro later. And he just messaged me during the video, during my reading, and he gave his thoughts on Hasbro later. Fucking microwave. Okay, his thoughts on Hasbro are this. Hasbro. Honestly, it's a blessing to see Hasbro turn around and learn from their mistakes. Providing us prize bays of each booster or duo pack is great. Wish they had inclusion of grips and rare bay get battle stuff due to TT's greed of making it exclusive for the app in Asia. God knows when we'll ever get Cobalt Drake or Ergo Pegasus in hand. Either way, I am happy with how Hasbro is doing so far. Despite the Extreme Stadium's design being altered due to the store's shelves issues, it still gets the job done with the Extreme Dash gimmick and makes it a lot more fun with how straightforward it is. The exclusives, despite being reskins, are cool, and how straightforward it is. The exclusives, despite for the metal and blades, they can be better than TT counterparts, Steel Samurai and Venom Dragon Sword, for an example. Here's to hoping greatness by Hasbro. And we get to counters, customs, which he would say I asked him, I don't know if we had a small little thingy, but I asked him if he wants his opinion and what is Takara Tomy doing, as in breakages, money, company, Hasbro, and such and so. He said the following words: "Me personally, now knowing what we have learned today, employees are going renegade. Takara Tomy is doing some shady stuff behind the scenes. If it's pushing workers hard, as we can see, they have produced. It's pushing workers hard. It would make sense considering they have to produce both Takara Tomy and Hasbro now. Would make sense why the quality worsened and the metals aren't improving, not to mention the amount of reused parts and resources. I think Takara Tomy is trying their hardest to fix a broken product, a very, very broken product. It's sad to watch, but this is Takara. They did the same with Bottleman and Transformers, and now Beyblade." And we have another one, which, let me quickly find it. Wrong button. I have my good friend Bellshoot X's opinion about all this. I asked him, so I'm going to be making a video combined with the Why Even Care Anymore, which I will get to in a moment. And I wanted your opinions on Takara Tomy, breakages, Hasbro, launchers, releases, etc. by voice or by text, whichever one is comfier. He said he's so in all in one message would be great. So he said this.
Okay, so thanks for having me here. All I gotta say is that for the TT side, what is going on with releases? Because they're really changing types and baits just to make references. Okay, I get that, Goku homage, like, at least Pendragon tried to actually did it and actually went, how to say it, better than how Phoenix Rider and Leon Crescent doing right now. Why? Why do you change true bays that are loved by the community? Just change it. And then the breakages. It's just not even funny. Like, the amount of bays that have broken, from my side at least, is in total of 10 bays, like, including blades and ratchets alone. And then we're going to the Hasbro side of things. Honestly, they're saving everyone's wallets. The collab bays, cool reskins, but just kind of lazy. And going back to DT, one more thing I gotta say is that how is that you mess up your first less spin X Bay? How? And then you have the anniversary set, the recent one with like Dragoon, Pegasus, and Valkyrie. Y'all really kind of makes people pay $70 for that. Like, I guess it's gonna be $70 for it's like a whole set and all, but like you mess up 3 protagonist bays, beloved ones too. Anyways, that's all for me. Have a good day.
And we finish off with my opinions. My opinions on X, I'm sorry that we said we would do Burst. So we can finish up our Burst segment, our X segment, with my final closing. My final closing is why complain? I am part of the few people who were unfortunate enough to have a bay break. Not by blade, but by ratchet. This belonged to one of my very first X bays, Hellscythe. It's very pink and red because I painted it. And the ratchet ended up breaking during one of my clubs. And because of that, I decided, okay. And here's the thing. I say, why care? Why complain? Takara Tomy isn't your friend, neither is Hasbro. They are trying to fix a broken mess. which they have been pumping out for a long time. I have never seen a Hell Scythe be as broken as anyone else. I have seen photos of a Hell Scythe being broken. The amount of times I've seen a broken Hell Scythe was a total of 4. The amount of times I have seen a broken Shark Edge, Phoenix Wing, Unicorn Sting, everything else except for a Hell's Bay is more than 6 times. And it is the anime's fault for causing this. Hell Scythe is a genuinely good bay, depending on which one you're using. The Hell's Bays are considered trash in the anime because of the leader of the team persona and our main character. The directors have confirmed that Multi Nanairo, Ekusu Kurosu, and Bird Kazami are the main protagonists. But here's the thing, protagonist does not always mean main character. So we have people also arguing about whether Ekusu is the main character or Bird is the main character. And I say, why argue? Why complain about a company who wants their money, who wants their fame, and who wants everything to appeal? They have done a lot of horrible things with their products about a big fan base. They messed up Cobalt Dragoon, their very first left spinning bay, which I made a video about. And made a lot of jokes too. Now, we can close off our X segment by saying, why care? Why care? Why complain? Why care? They're going to keep doing the same little stick, and if too many people complain, they're going to fix it, but also introduce a lot more problems. And now we can begin our burst segment for Hasbro and Takara Tomy. Like I've said, I've collected my fair share of Takara Tomy here and there. And a little thing about Takara Tomy is that they had released certain parts that Hasbro has messed up. For starters, bearing. If you're wondering how I have one, because I have a very expensive bay. This is known as Deep Chaos, and it is supposed to have the combo of 4 flow bearing. When this bay first came out, bearing is everything people would want. It was good, it had a thing known as palm plastic, and it was a separate part from the driver. And because of that, it was good. Hasbro ended up making it one piece. And because of this, Hasbro has ended up doing a lot of things correct and a lot of things wrong. And another thing is gimmicks. Every single Beyblade has some sort of gimmick, whether you want it to or not. And I'll be getting a few of my Hasbro and one Takara Tomy Beyblade. This is a Takara Tomy Revive Phoenix. The stickers have been peeled off because of usage. It has the ability known as the Revive ability. As you can see in my hand, I have another one. But it is a perfect Phoenix. And a good thing to note, it's all plastic. And since it's all plastic, it's incredibly weak. Hasbro bays do not have teeth. In fact, they have slopes, which causes the bays to burst more often, which is a good thing. With Takara Tomy, you have teeth. Now, some of these teeth can be really good, but some of these teeth, I'm bringing back my example, Deep Chaos, is not a good story. It's incredibly weak, and if you hit it too hard, or if you just do a barrage attack, or any form of attack, it will break, aka burst. Now, I have this Zwei Longinus. It's official TT and was bought on Amazon. Tell me why Spiral Dash has had issues before. It's had issues with popping out. I just had it. Not like that, but it's had issues here and there where it won't stay on the bay and it will just fly off. Well, it won't fly off, but if hit the wrong way, it will. It's an issue that Takara Tomy has had. I'm gonna stop trying. A bay is determined by its strength and by its usage. Sometimes bays can be really bad, like Variant Lucifer, which was cursed with the dreaded Mobius. Some bays can be really good, but extremely butchered by Hasbro with Geist Fafnir, one of the many Fafnirs who do not have rubber and just have pieces of plastic that go up and down with no metal on its layer. And the point is, Hasbro was doing horrible. Hasbro is horrible. When they were doing Burst, they took out so many gimmicks. And my phone is starting to overheat because it's going darker. Hasbro doesn't how do I put this? Sorry, like I said, this is an unscripted video. I don't like writing scripts because it's too much to memorize unless it's actually important. As in like a school play or like a song. So this is an interesting take I am going to make. If you like Hasbro so much, then you like it. If you like Takara Tomy so much, you're going to get hated on it. Everything can be criticized. Everything can be hated. There is no such thing as I have no haters, because you will always have a hater. I have haters. People have haters. Celebrities who don't have haters can have a hater. It's just how a person sees you and how what you do leaves a reputation. And that's where I step in to the Takara Tomy and Hasbro dick riders. And a dick rider is known for sex, but also in the community, any community, if you get called a dick rider, that means you are hardcore defending what everybody else hates or is telling you is bad. Now, there are a lot of Takara Tomy dick riders. There are a lot of people who just absolutely love something that they do not have. Rugiku. Anyways. And it comes to a point where it becomes annoying. It becomes horrible. They will say things like, yeah, at least it's better than Hasbro. At least they're releasing this instead of Hasbro. Well, yeah, those breaks, you just hit it with a hammer. Or this, and this. If you like Hasbro, people will make fun of you for liking the cheap stuff. They'll be like, oh, you're getting that? That's not even good. Get Takara Tomy. And you're getting Hasbro. That's horrible. You're getting Hasbro. What the fuck is wrong with you? You're getting Hasbro. You're a And it comes to a point where it's like, okay, why are we arguing about spinning tops? Why is the Beyblade community filled with people who like to complain? There are so many things that Takara Tomy has done, which are good, but there are so many things that Hasbro has done, which are also good. Some of the stadiums, Hasbro stadiums, for Burst, are more gimmicky than what Takara Tomy has released. Hasbro like to go the extra mile and try to create what is in the show. For starters, they released the Vortex Climb Stadium, which was seen in GT. They released the motorized stadium from Sparking. They released the Sparking Stadium, which had the accelerator holes. They released the Trapdoor Stadium as well. They released an LED stadium. They released so many stadiums with the gimmick. But the main thing that Hasbro has done wrong is butchering stadiums. And there's no other stadium they butchered more than the Hasbro Beyblade X1. I'm going to say this, and this only. I like it. I like it. But it fucking sucks. I love something, but it sucks. That's the main issue. It sucks in a way where certain bits cannot be used to their full potential. As you saw in my Duran Buster video, Excel, the bit on Duran Buster, was actually bouncing and going crazy and would barely connect to the extreme line. So, Takara Tomy has the bigger one, the Japanese one. And because of that, that's in objectively better stadium. But I'm not one to like it. I don't really see a point in getting it right now, as, you know, I'm fine with this one. This one has its issues too. It fucking sucks. Like I said, Excel won't properly work. It won't connect to the extreme line properly. What else? There's tons of self KOs when you're trying to do a battle. Battles can either end too quickly or too long. And Bays can just do stuff that isn't in the show, which goes for the Takara Tomy Stadium. Hasbro definitely fumbled because, you know, they have to release something. And this is what they released. For $50. And it's to the point where it's like, the Takara Tomy one is objectively better. I know some people, there's Vermilion. I'm good friends with Vermilion. And he's told me multiple times to get the Takara Tomy Stadium. I say, not yet. Because I'm waiting for my Hasbro Stadium to break. And that's the issue with the Takara Tomy Stadium. I have never seen a Hasbro Beyblade X Stadium break. But I've seen Takara Tomy Stadiums break. Whether a bay got slammed into it, or the shroud cracked, or a metal needle did a little oopsie and cracked the stadium. But that's the thing. People will always find a way to complain. Hell, I complain too. I complain about not finding the bays I want. I complain about prices on bays I want. People can complain that Hasbro sucks. People can complain that Takara Tomy sucks. Ryoko. People can complain about everything. But that's the thing to bring me back to my original statement. Why care? They're gonna keep doing the same thing. Why care if Dran Dagger is $50? Why care if Hasbro is doing a better job with releasing everything? They have been releasing everything. And fun fact, Savage Bear came out, and Bear Savage came out, and Knife Shinobi came out as well. Way before Takara Tomy has. You know someone who finally realized that Takara Tomy was making all these fuckers? Nazuma, I applaud you for that. You know, I haven't seen any of his videos, but you know who's still on the fence about that? Probably Zenki. I've joked about Zenki a lot of times, and that's because he is known to be a genuinely disrespectful guy. And there's a certain person, Rugiku, who made fun of his father's passing, which, may he rest in heaven. I give my respects to that. But that doesn't excuse Zenki from being a horrible man and just trying to dunk on Hasbro to dunk on Hasbro. Especially for Savage Bear, where it's incredibly light. It doesn't have its imbalance, but it's literally just a stock rhino horn without an 80. And it's incredibly light, and it's being released in the stadium that's coming out recently. And because of that, Zenki believes that Takara Tomy is separate from making these. What am I trying to say here? What is my point here? I think you guys have gotten the point. My point is that Hasbro and Takara Tomy will always have a fight in their communities. You can buy yourself 2 Revive Phoenixes. One will have P4, the other one will have nothing afterwards. And they'll both act differently. One will be bursting more often, one will be a little more aggressive more often, one will accidentally go into an aggressive mode when you're not trying to get it to. And one of them might have a defect. A defect you never knew it could have. And that's when I discovered fairly recently that Hasbro bays can have defects. And that felt like a shock to me. Since I used to be an avid Hasbro buyer, and because of that, I would be like, okay, there's no way that this could end up having defects. Where could it have gone? And I was wrong on multiple occasions because Hasbro does have missed products. I'm also going to be getting another bag, which is a good example. If I can find the one I'm looking for, that would be really nice. It'd be very nice if I found the one I'm like looking for to give my example, please. Instead of hiding the bay that I'm trying to find to make a point in my YouTube video. Be very nice. Found it. Now, these two are one of my only counts of a Hasbro defect. Hasbro defect number 1, Nightmare Luminor. There are two things to it. It's tight. Well, not tight, but it can't burst. Talk about an unburstable Hasbro bay. And you can make that yourself. Just give it a TT part and you're good. But it's to the point where Nightmare Luminor can't burst. It's too hard to burst for Hasbro standards. Put it up against a Takara Tomy Beyblade, it might burst. Put it up against a Hasbro Beyblade, it might not burst. And here comes my second defect, which has probably been my only actual defect. This is Pro Z Valkyrie. I call it Pro Z because it's Pro Series and it's red. It has, the Cho Z locking gimmick that's supposed to have. Just a little blue tab. This is the Hasbro version. Turbo Valkyrie. And you know what it doesn't have? The locking system. And you know how I found out that it's a defect? Because my friend Shouda told me that his Valkyrie had the gimmick. And this shocked me. Because it's like, I've been having a defect for so many years. And that got me thinking, how many defects have Takara Tomy had? A lot. These are my only two cases of a Hasbro defect. So that's also got me thinking, why do I still bother? And to answer your question, I don't know why either. I don't know why I still bother. It's hard to know and hard to quit doing something you love for a long time. It's hard to quit an addiction. It's hard to quit a hobby that you enjoy. So it's why bother? Because it's fun. That's what a lot of people will tell you. It's fun. Some people will argue with you. Some people will agree with you. But that doesn't change the fact that a game made for kids is also an area where people are extremely toxic. It will never change the fact that this game made for kids can be a toxic wasteland for people who just want to see kids cry. Or they can see them whine or anything. So I leave you off with the closing message, because I've extended this video way longer than I wanted it to. Why care? If someone is arguing with you, it may not even work. If someone is arguing with you about Beyblade or anything, tell them why care. Why do you care about complaining so much? When complaining will most likely not fix the issue if you're doing it alone. If a bunch of people complain, they'll fix it. But if a bunch of people won't, they won't fix it. That's the thing. You'll never know if they will fix it or not. And that's why Hasbro and Takara Tomy communities will never have a mutual agreement because they'll have a never-ending war over which one is better. That